Hi, this is Mark. I'm with Carol Carpenter, owner of MotoVixens, and I would like to find out more about her and what makes her tick and how she got here. Hi.
Hi.
All right. So, how do you get to be an owner of a? It started to be a women's track day organization.
It
Is
did
that right?
originally, yeah.
Okay.
I started as an information and resource site for women riders because when I first started in 2012-ish, there wasn't very many women riders. So I figured if I'm going to do it, I wanted to encourage other women to do it too. And there was so many issues and challenges I had to overcome, and I imagined it was probably true for other women. I'm short, I got small hands, small feet, really, really difficult to find anything that fits. Motorcycles are not made for women, so you actually have to adjust and modify your bikes to fit you. And in the beginning, because you're so uncomfortable, you know, height is an issue. Seat height's an issue for women that are shorter. And I think you develop that confidence later where seat height doesn't matter. But back then it was, the confidence came from being able to touch the ground even a little bit. Even 3/4 would have been great. I was lucky if I even got my tiptoes down. So it took a lot to figure stuff out. I think that kept a lot of women from even starting motorcycles. So I wanted to find a way where I could get them the resources. Like, we got Dave Alexander, we got Dave Lanigan, we've got Don Beck. All these guys can help you kind of mod your bike to a point where it's comfortable without compromising the geometry of the bike and allowing you to still be able to ride it. That was my issue. I figured other women had that issue. I had problems with gear, couldn't find anybody that had gear for women, and if they did, you would never find anything your size. So you couldn't even try anything on. So you end up having, go online, order multiple sizes, just have them ship them to you. So you're paying for 3-4 suits and praying to God one fits, and eventually finding some manufacturer that fits your body type. One size doesn't fit all. And they definitely do have body types for each manufacturer. So that was how I first started. Those were challenges I faced to just even getting to the point of starting to ride motorcycles.
Just to ride it all.
Uh-huh.
Not even talking about the track day.
No.
So, when did you first think, I want to ride a motorcycle? Like,
Oh God. Okay, so my very first bike was a Monster, and I actually bought it through Ducati Bellevue, and Kevin Davis was the manager back then. And I was all, gung-ho. I'm like, oh my God, I'm riding a motorcycle. This is so awesome. He watched me progress, but it's like a drug, right? These guys, they were dealing drugs when they dealt motorcycles. They gave me a free track day with the purchase of my bike.
uh-oh.
And that started that drug addiction. And I wanted more.
Here, have a taste. This
right,
one's on me.
Right. This one's free. The first hit's free kind of thing. And that's where the addiction started, because I never go into anything just like, oh, I just want to dabble in it. If I'm interested, it's a full-fledged addiction. And I just ended up going out, just trying every track school. I traveled to different track schools, rented bikes, and learned. Everybody has a different method of teaching, and it was really interesting because I didn't necessarily agree with all of them, but I thought some of them, I could take principles and techniques and apply it to me. I'm not going to say my weight, but I'm different than a man, and the bike's going to respond differently to me than with, say, a 185-pound man on it.
Right, so, just the physics of it,
exactly.
Where the center of gravity goes when you get off the bike, that kind of thing. It's going to change.
Exactly, and suspension, everything plays a factor in this. So it was really difficult to go rent those bikes, right? And they were set up more for men. So I kind of had to learn how to adjust. But once I got a bike that was modded to my weight, suspension, set up completely for me, it changed everything. And the frustration went away. but you also need to have the confidence. You have to gain the confidence to be able to get to that point.
Right. Okay. So you're at this point, then you're riding track days around the West Coast, or?
On West Coast only, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I ended up progressing fairly quickly because of that addiction. And I was at a lot of track days. And then eventually, because I was a woman, I went and started instructing because they had women that were coming into the track days that didn't necessarily want to be taught by a man because they don't communicate well with women and the way they process. And so it made it easier for them to be paired with me, and I could talk to them, and there was a little bit more of an understanding. And I don't know, I think I was a little bit gentler with the way I presented things, where they're just more blunt. You know, they talk to other guys all the time, so they just say it like it is, and it doesn't necessarily help the women feel comfortable. I think sometimes it intimidates them and they don't want to come back.
Okay, so when did you make the jump from teaching at others' track days to thinking, when did this idea pop in your head, like, hey, maybe I could have my own track day organization for women?
Well, it came from when I started seeing more women come. And their biggest complaint was, I don't want to be taught by a guy. And I was like, all right, cool. So I actually started off with a one-day track day that was specifically a women's day. And I was astonished at how many women showed up.
And that was your first one?
And it was a one-off, 1 year. That was it.
And this was?
And that was still while I was instructing for other track days.
And when was this? How?
Oh, geez, 2013, 14. And that was through Ducati Bellevue. So Ducati Bellevue put me on as a woman's ambassador because they wanted somebody to, help them get more women into the sport. And Kevin was actually the one that sold me the bike and gave me the first hit for free, was the one that said, hey, would you be, our ambassador? And I was like, sure. So they gave us a session to be able to do that track day. And then
do you have any friends that want to hit?
Yeah, well, oh my God, it was awful because yes, there was quite a few, but there's also some of them that weren't interested in that because they were more interested in the skills, developing the skills.
So your first day was successful. You had a lot of women show up.
I did.
So then you thought, let's do this again? Or?
Then I started having issues with other track organizations who thought that I was going to try to steal their clients. So they ended up kicking me off their crews. And at that point, my choice was to start my own and do it the way I want to do it, or get out of the sport completely. I'm not a quitter, so I decided to start my own. And I worked for organizations that overfilled their sessions. And a lot of them don't have limits. So it's basically unlimited. And to me, there was double-digit crashes. There was too many red flags, too many missed sessions, lots of complaints from the clients. Even while we were instructors, it was so crowded per session that you couldn't instruct. There was just no way. It was parade laps. And you can't teach anybody at speed, so there's a lot of complaints. You talk to the owners were like, well, it's a track day. I think it's, as an owner, you have to own up to it, and you are your brand. So you have to reflect what you believe in. I couldn't represent that either anymore. So it actually made the decision to start my own easier.
Okay, so then when you made this decision, how did you find the staff, the other people, the support? I guess I have several questions. But,
okay.
Okay, it's a business. So
well, I didn't start it out that way though. I wanted it more to be family. I wanted that feel back, right? Because a lot of them had gotten to the point where I think they were just more interested in the financial aspect of it than helping people.
In my experience, it seems like if you treat people well and make it like family, the finance takes care of itself.
I always say money comes later. You know, you take care of the people, people hear about it. It's just word of mouth, and they come. They don't want to be treated like a number. They want to be treated like a person. It's like, you know, that the show Cheers when you see Norm.
Norm.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want. Like when you come in for registration and you've been here a few times, it's nice to be remembered. It's nice for people to, you know, recognize you, say your name, ask how you're doing. Everybody wants that.
That's very valuable stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody likes that.
Yeah.
So you talked about limits. So you do limit the number of people
I
on
do.
track?
Yeah. I limit to 30 people per session, and I think that is it's a really low number for considering it's like an over 2 mile track. So if you do run into, you know, any traffic, it's for a very short time, and you can get around and you won't see anybody for a while.
Now, how did you find the staff that would back you up or have the same philosophy of customer service?
Luckily for me, I worked for different organizations. And the instructors I worked with, I already knew which ones were good and which ones were not. I liked certain ones because of the way they taught, the way they treated their customers. That to me was valuable information, so that when I started my own, I could, you know, possibly recruit them. However, oh gosh, there was ultimatums given to the staff of the other organizations that if they came to work for me, they would no longer be allowed to work for them. And I started with a very limited staff because I couldn't get anybody to come and work for me because I just started, and I think I had 2 to 3 track days in my first year, 2 years. It was hard because they weren't willing to give up going to an organization that had 10 track days a year. And I don't blame them, you know, but I always kept the door open. I said, if at any point you feel like coming over, you know, my door's always open. I don't give ultimatums. I just basically tell everybody on staff what we teach here stays here. However you want to teach wherever else you go, please do that there. But I've never shut the door on anybody and said, hey, if you work for that organization, you can't work for me too. I don't think that's the right thing to do. We're a really small community. We should be supporting each other.
So do you only do track days at Ridge? Or would
do.
You like to do other tracks as well?
It depends. I mean, I've developed a really good relationship with the Ridge. I think it's the safest track out here. It's beautiful. It's fun. Everybody has more fun on this track than even, say, Pacific. Not that I have anything against Pacific. I just think the potential for accidents and more severe accidents happen there.
Okay. Now, I remember you mentioned Chuckwalla in the winter.
I love Chuckwalla. Yeah. So I brought up JP 5 years ago, and I just love the way he teaches. It's a teaching style that's more conversational. So he gets to know you, like what you're working for, what you're working at, what your goals are. He almost customizes it to you. It's not so much about, here's our curriculum for the class, and this is what we're going to go over, and this is what you're going to do, and this is how you're going to do it. He knows everybody's different. You may have injuries, you may have limits. There are certain things that, you know, such as just being female and male. That's different.
How about being 60 years old and I can't move around the bike as well as I could
Correct.
40
Injuries,
years ago?
Right? Everything is different. So he understands that. And the one thing I love about him is he actually does really well teaching the novices all the way up to the pros, because he can actually connect with you at your level. And there's not very many coaches that can do that. So bringing him up was like, God, he was a godsend. And everybody just connects with him. When they're here, what he says resonates with everybody. And it's so strange because they're all different levels. It's weird.
So, what would you say? Okay, like I have friends that I ride motorcycles with on the street, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know, a track day. Oh gosh, it seems kind of fast. Isn't it kind of dangerous?" Or what would you say to them to urge them to come out?
I would say if you want to be more confident, better your skills, I mean, education's everything. I mean, you have to get educated to be a pilot, right?
Right, right.
Okay, well, as an American, which blows me away, in Europe, you have to go through stages and you have to go through different CC bikes, right? You don't just automatically get to go get your endorsement and get 1,000 and be uneducated, and you literally have a weapon between your legs that can kill you. That blows my mind we can do that here. Actually, it blows even Caroline's mind that we can do that here. They have to work their way up. They have to like start from a small CC bike, work up to the next level, and so on, right? We don't do that here. And that's frightening when you think about it. You absolutely have no knowledge, but you have all this horsepower to work with.
That's a problem in the United States. There's a lot of young people that'll just get on a liter bike and
Have
wrecked in 2
no
weeks.
idea. No idea. And most people are fearful of it because they don't have the knowledge. When you have knowledge about anything, just like you said when I first started, right? I had zero knowledge. I was afraid of the thing. It took me getting the knowledge, understanding it, to go, oh, it's not as scary as I thought. I think there's more people killed in ski accidents than in motorcycle accidents. That's frightening.
Mhm. So, where would you like to go from here with your business? No, okay, let's ask that question. Where do you want to go from here? Where do you want to be 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Right now, we're in the midst of actually growing and building the brand, which will include, and you know that I sponsor racers as
Yes.
well. My girl is Caroline Olson. I am so supportive of seeing a woman racer at a national level that I want to encourage more to get in. And the only way is to go through the system. Start at a club level, race, first of all, fall in love with the sport, right? Mm-hmm. Get the education, get your racer's license, work your way up to nationals. I want to see more women in the national level. To me, you become an inspiration for other women to do this, and start at a younger age. I mean, Caroline's the only girl on her grid. It blows me away there's not more, but she's she's a good representation of the sport. She's very professional, very eloquent when she speaks, and she's an adorable person. What's not to love about her? So I love sponsoring her because she's just a good spokesperson for the sport. We also do Jeremy Coffey, and I love him because he's a young up-and-comer. He's got a bit to go, but he's fast. And
was he the young man that was here yesterday in the class?
No. So that's Michael Gilbert.
Okay.
Alex Dumas was here, and Andrew Lee. Now, those young'uns are great too. Great representations of the sport. What I love about Jay is he picks those kids, the ones that are best for the sport.
Okay, yeah. So you're in the growth portion, or growing your brand. So is the goal growth in the sense of more track days, since you're going to limit it to 30 per session?
I would love to. Yeah, that and possibly more, but we can't disclose that yet.
Okay. All right. Gosh, this was great. I really appreciate it. Absolutely.
You got anything else? I mean, come on.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Keep going. I don't care.
All right. So, obviously, are you from this area, or how did you even get here?
I actually am a SoCal girl, so I came from Southern California.
Is that where the Chuck Wallace stuff comes from?
No. Actually, so the whole Chuck Wallace thing came from JP.
Oh, okay.
And Caroline races there at CVMA. So does Michael, so does Andrew, all those kids do. And it's for the off season to continue their training. Mm-hmm. And I go down there every so often and get to ride with them, and it's fun. And it's just more development. I mean, I don't get to ride very much anymore because I'm running a track day. And it's more important to me that my customers are happy. And I much rather see them happy than for me to spin a few laps. That means nothing to me. If I see people happy, that makes my day.
Okay, good. So what did you do before this? This is your main thing now, as far as business-wise, right?
It is now. I do have side things. So I'm a stunt woman too. I drive cars for movies.
Okay.
So I've done that. Did voiceovers. Oh my gosh. Modeling when I was younger.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And prior to that, I was actually in pre-med school.
Okay. So all that was, since you were Southern California,
Yep.
it was easy to get into, or not easy to get into it, but it
It
certainly lent itself to it.
Yeah, you just kind of, the progression. I mean, I would never have guessed 20 years ago that I would be here in this industry trying to make a difference.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, so you said you were doing modeling, and then how do you get to stunt driving cars?
So my brother's a stuntman, in the Stuntmen's, so SAG-AFTRA.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how we got started. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. He said something to me and he's like, hey, I'm working on this movie and so-and-so's, stunt coordinator. He needs some drivers, blah, blah, blah. So that's how I got into it.
Okay, but no background. You didn't have to have a resume like I did this and this and this with cars, or?
So the thing about the Stuntmen's Association is it's very small, and to get in you have to know somebody. And I know a lot of people that want to get in, but it's who you know. In LA, it's who you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually where I want to go with this interview, because I remember what we were talking about before we turned it on.
Yeah.
Okay, this is fascinating to me. Okay, so, all right, so you get in this. Okay, so it's who you know, say, okay, all right, get in this and do this crazy thing with a car. I mean, you would need training, just like I would think to.
Yes and no. Yes, meaning you do need training, but I think they see you okay, first of all, you drive, right? They see how you drive. You have marks, you have things you have to do, you have to follow directions, you have to, and this is the funniest thing, you have to be able to know how to drive in reverse. And you'd be astonished how many people can't reset in reverse. That literally can get you not in. That's crazy, right?
Right.
You think, oh, everybody can reverse a car, but truthfully, what are you looking at? How are you doing it? Can you reset at your mark exactly where you were, because we're refilming that shot?
Right.
There's a lot of, so it's almost like a pecking order, right? You start from the bottom, they see how you do, and you work your way up.
Okay. So how many people, you said it's small, so in a
Stuntmen's Association it's not small by that. What I mean is, it's very, oh my God, I don't want to even say this out loud, but it's almost very incestual, right? It's, once you're in it, you're in it. And then friends and family can come into it. But if you're an outsider, it's really hard to get into it. They want to. You may have the skills and credentials, but you have to know somebody to get you in.
That's pretty much how the world works.
No, it's not odd. It's just these guys are very particular. And I don't blame them, because It's a high-risk job. Mm-hmm. And you have to trust the people. When you're driving next to people, sometimes you're driving in such close quarters that you have to trust the person you're next to. And not everybody can do that. I've seen some pretty scary stuff.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. That's just fascinating. Okay, so, and when was the first time you were even on a motorcycle?
What do you mean, for what?
First time you ever drove a motorcycle?
Oh, 2011 or 12?
So not all that long ago.
11, yeah.
Okay.
10, 11, something, I don't know. I honestly can't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it love at first sight? You said, this is cool.
No, I was terrified.
Okay. Just
absolutely freaking terrified, to the point that the bike was shaking underneath me because I was holding on so tight.
So, okay, so how did you get from SoCal? What brought you up here?
I was actually pregnant, and my now ex-husband he got a job as a CEO, president CEO of a company up in Seattle.
Okay.
So that's what got us.
So
out
now
here.
here you are.
Yep.
Okay.
Been here, gosh, how old's my oldest son? 25 years now.
So, okay, you did the modeling, you did the stunt work. Obviously, you were married, had children.
2 boys,
which
yeah.
brought you up with 2 boys.
hmm
Are they up here?
One of them's, my oldest one's in Colorado, and my youngest one just graduated from Gonzaga.
Okay. Are they interested in motorcycling at all?
That's the funniest thing, right? No, not at all.
Isn't that weird? My kids don't want to fly at all. They're not
It's so weird, right? You think it'd be exciting. You think they want to like come and see it. They have 0 interest in it at all. They see it on Facebook and Instagram, but they've never shown up.
Mhm. And then, okay, what else did you do in SoCal before? Where in SoCal did you grow up?
I was actually born in Los Angeles, but I was raised in Newport Beach, Laguna Beach area. I basically lived in Laguna Niguel, and it's an equestrian area in Southern California, Orange County.
What is it you're looking for from staff, from new staff?
Professionalism. I want them to be kind and courteous, and that's all part of professionalism, but you'd be shocked at what you get with people. They figure they're racers. They basically want time on the track, so they want to work for an organization. I am not interested in having racers on my staff. For me, it's more important to have people that can respect other riders and teach them and be patient, be kind. That's it, really. I have a hard time when racers want to come on staff. They believe just because they're fast, they should be on staff. They're not consistent, and they don't have the skills.
The people skills you're talking
No,
about. No,
skills even on the track. Just because you race doesn't mean that you have skills. That's right. Exactly.
Interesting. Hey. Well, that's a good thing for me because I'm not fast. So,
If you are consistent, that's what matters. Because for us, it's not about speed. We talked about, actually today, we talked about lap times. Like, do we limit the advanced lap times to a certain lap time? I'm like, no. Why do we do that? Because you can be fast and crappy. But I would rather want to have the consistent rider in the advanced class or advanced group, and then bring whoever's in the advanced group that's crappy down in the intermediate group and teach them some skills.
do you have anything else you'd like to add to throw in there?
No.
This is really good. I'll try and get this out to my little subscribers, and hopefully we can reach somebody
That'd be
and
great.
make their business grow, and then enrich their life with this sport that I know we both love.
Oh, God, I don't even know why I love this sport, but I just adore it. And every time I'm literally on a bike, everything changes. The world goes away, and I'm in my happy place.
Yeah, me too. It's funny because people will ask me, like, why do you want to go down a track and just go? I don't exactly know, but it just makes me feel great.
Isn't it funny, though, that the people that don't understand, and they're not willing to give it a try?
And I think if they would take that
Change
first
their mind.
taste.
Yep. First, it's not always free out here, though.
Right. The first taste isn't free here. That's good. Thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.